It took me a decade of mediocre returns and one massive financial scare to learn what I am about to teach you in this video. For years, I did everything right. I followed the playbook our parents and their parents swore by. I maxed out my 401k. I bought index funds, religiously tracking the S&P 500. I dollar-cost averaged. I diversified into bonds. I even dabbled in real estate. I was building a portfolio that was the very definition of responsible. It was safe. It was steady. And it was, in a word, slow. Excruciatingly slow. I was on the 40-year plan, the path to a comfortable, but not an extraordinary, retirement. I was playing a game designed for me to win, but only by an inch, and only after my youth was a distant memory. The promise was security. The reality was stagnation, a slow crawl towards a finish line so far in the distance it felt like a mirage. And then, the world changed. Or rather, I realized the world had already changed, and I was the one who hadn't gotten the memo. The playbook I was using, the one passed down by Wall Street gurus and financial advisors, was a relic. It was a strategy for a world that no longer existed. A world with stable inflation, predictable growth, and clear lines between asset classes. We don't live in that world anymore. We live in an age of disruption, of digital scarcity, of decentralized finance, and of opportunities that appear and disappear in the blink of an eye. The traditional path, the safe path, wasn't just slow anymore. It was becoming dangerous. Because the greatest risk isn't volatility. It's being left behind. It's watching your safe 8% annual return get eaten alive by the silent cancer of real-world inflation. It's realizing you resaving for a future that will cost twice as much as you planned for. I started seeing whispers of it everywhere. People my age, younger even, weren't just getting rich. They were achieving financial sovereignty. They weren't waiting 40 years. They were doing it in 4 years or 2 or even less. And they weren't doing it with mutual funds. They were investing in things my broker would have laughed at. Cryptocurrencies, digital art, fractional ownership of rare collectibles, early-stage tech startups. It was the Wild West, and I was sitting on the porch of the general store, clutching my government bonds while they were out striking gold. My first reaction was dismissal. It's a bubble. It's a scam. It's gambling, not investing. I repeated the mantras of the old guard because it was comfortable. It protected my ego. It meant I didn't have to admit that the rigid, disciplined system I had built my financial life around might be fundamentally flawed. But a part of me, a nagging, persistent voice, knew I was just scared. Scared of the unknown. Scared of looking foolish. Scared of losing what little I had managed to build. The turning point came during a market dip. A standard, run-of-the-mill correction in the stock market. But it felt different. For the first time, I saw the fragility of the traditional system. I saw that my diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds was, in reality, just a bet on one single thing: the continuation of the old economic order. And as I looked around, at the speed of technological change and the shifting sands of global power, that bet started to feel less and less safe. That's when I realized the fundamental lie we've been sold. The lie isn't that traditional investing is bad. It's that it's the only way. We're presented with a false choice. Either you choose the safe, slow, traditional path, or you're a reckless gambler, betting your life savings on the digital equivalent of a lottery ticket. This is a narrative crafted by the very institutions that profit from you staying on their playground. They want your money in their funds, managed by their people, for their fees. The last thing they want is for you to discover that there are other games being played, games with entirely different rules and exponentially higher stakes. The truth is, the most successful investors of our generation don't choose one or the other. They do both. They have mastered a strategy that is simultaneously incredibly safe and wildly aggressive. It's called the Barbell Strategy. And understanding it is the single most important financial paradigm shift you can make in your life. Imagine a barbell. On one side, you have a massive, heavy, unmovable weight. On the other side, you have a small, light, but potentially explosive weight. The bar in the middle is empty. This is your new portfolio. Let's break it down. One side of the barbell, about 80 to 90% of your investment capital, goes into the most boring, conservative, and robust assets you can find. This is your fortress of solitude. This is not the place for risk. We're talking about your index funds, your dividend-paying blue-chip stocks, maybe some real estate, even government bonds. This is the traditional stuff. The goal of this side of the portfolio is not to make you rich. The goal is survival. Its sole purpose is to protect you from ruin, to ensure that no matter what happens in the wild, unpredictable world of high-risk investing, your foundation is unshakable. This part of your portfolio is your defense. It's what lets you sleep at night. It's the anchor that keeps you grounded while you reach for the stars. Now, for the other side. This is where the magic happens. The remaining 10 to 20% of your capital goes into the complete opposite, a collection of small, calculated bets on non-traditional, high-risk, high-reward assets. These are your moonshots. This is the asymmetric bet portion of your portfolio. An asymmetric bet is one where the potential upside is astronomically higher than the potential downside. If one of these investments goes to zero, and some of them will, you only lose a tiny fraction of your total net worth. It's a paper cut. But if just one of them hits, if one of them goes 10x, 50x, or 100x, it can have a life-altering impact on your entire financial picture. It can generate more wealth than your entire safe portfolio could in a decade. This is where you explore the frontiers. This is where you invest in that promising new cryptocurrency protocol that aims to solve a real-world problem. It is where you take a small stake in a pre-IPO tech startup through an equity crowdfunding platform. It's where you buy a fractional share of a piece of art by a burgeoning artist, or a rare graded collectible that has a passionate community behind it. Each individual bet is small. You are spreading your risk across a number of these opportunities, knowing that most will likely fail. You are not a gambler throwing everything on red. You are a venture capitalist for your own life, planting a dozen small seeds in fertile ground, understanding that you only need one to grow into a giant redwood to change the landscape of your entire forest. The beauty of the barbell strategy is that it removes the paralyzing fear that keeps most people on the sidelines. You're no longer terrified of losing everything, because 80 to 90% of your capital is protected in your fortress. This frees you up, both financially and psychologically, to take intelligent, calculated risks on the other side. It transforms investing from a game of fear and preservation into a game of opportunity and exploration. You stop thinking like an employee, trading your time for a steady but limited income. You start thinking like an owner, deploying capital into assets that have the potential for explosive, non-linear growth. What do you leave in the middle of the barbell? Nothing. That's the most crucial part. You avoid the medium risk, medium return investments. These are the traps. These are the actively managed mutual funds with high fees that promise to beat the market but rarely do. These are the complex financial products that promise the best of both worlds but often deliver the worst. They give you just enough risk to hurt you in a downturn, but not enough upside to ever truly change your life. You want extreme safety on one end and extreme, calculated risk on the other. Nothing in between. This is more than an investment strategy. It's a philosophy for navigating a world of accelerating change. The old world rewarded specialization and steady contribution within a defined system. The new world rewards adaptability and the ability to capitalize on disruption. By building your fortress, you are honoring the wisdom of the old world. You are building a base of security. But by deploying your moonshots, you are actively participating in the creation of the new world. You are betting on innovation, on technology, on the very forces that are reshaping our economy. So, stop asking if you should be in stocks or in crypto. Stop debating traditional versus non-traditional. It is the wrong question. The real question is, how can you structure your financial life to be both indestructible and infinitely scalable? How can you protect yourself from the shocks of the system while simultaneously positioning yourself to benefit from its greatest innovations? The answer is the barbell. Build your fortress with 90% of your might, making it so strong that no market storm can ever knock it down. Then, with the remaining 10%, go out and hunt for dragons. Take small, smart, diversified shots at the kind of opportunities that can change everything. Most will fail, but you only need to be right once. Stop choosing between playing it safe and taking a risk. The new rules of wealth demand that you do both. Build a portfolio that is both a shield and a rocket ship. That is how you stop just surviving the future and start owning a piece of it.